Hi everybody, Dave O'Dart here with another lesson. This time it's going to be about the improvisation test that takes place in Trinity College examinations should you choose to take the improvisation test. I've had lots of people asking me this question for a while now, and I've been trying to resist doing a video on it purely because I don't actually like this test, if I'm honest with you, and I would recommend that you choose one of the others. I think that unpitched oral allows you 4 opportunities to score some points with the different skill elements, and also with those skill elements it allows you, especially with the help of a teacher, to work on lots of different skills. Improvisation, I think, is best taken when you're taking a rock and pop examination. If that's what you're doing, then the improvisation is definitely the one I'd recommend, because you get a backing track and you listen to the backing track and then you accompany it. With the Trinity traditional drum kit exams, what happens is you are giving a short rhythmic stimulus, they call it, which is basically a couple of bars, especially for the first few grades, of music notation that are then played twice by the examiner, and then you're required to play it as well on the snare drum, and then you're given half a minute to then try and work out something that you're going to play that uses that rhythmic stimulus to create on the drum kit, to improvise. There's 2 different ways you could approach this. One would be a sort of a kit rhythm and a fill type approach, or it might be a more what they call a linear sort of melodic approach, where you're playing the rhythm and you're using the drum kit much like you'd use a melodic percussion instrument. So if we have a little look, I'm not going to do every single grade because this video would be about an hour long and it would be boring. I'm going to try and make it as interesting as I can and informative. So what I've done is I've prepared a few little slides to show you. The first rhythmic stimulus I'm going to show you is grade 1. Okay, so here is an example from grade 1. We have 2 bars, and in those bars we've got a rhythm in 4/4, 4 quarter notes per bar, and it's a mixture of either crotchets or quavers, quarter notes or eighth notes as I call them. So in this first bar here we've got a quarter note, so 1, and then another 2, and then another 3, and then 2 eighth notes, 4 and then in the second bar 1, 2 and 3, 4. So if I was trying to create a rhythm, a kit rhythm and a fill using this stimulus, remember the examiner's going to play it twice for me anyway, so it's going to sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2 and 3, 4. What I've got to do is, how can I turn that into a rhythm? Okay, so if I'm playing a rhythm, beats 2 and 4 are what I would call my backbeat, if I'm trying to create something. So this beat here and this beat here could be considered your snare drum, and this beat here and this beat here could be considered your bass drum. So I would play something like bass, snare, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare. If I was trying to create a fill, I might play snare, high, mid, low, snare, snare, high, crash. So you're trying to create a rhythm and a fill using that stimulus. How long are you supposed to play it for? Well, in the examples that I can see given in the book, the grade 1 sort of playback is about 4 bars long. But as you go up the grades, grade 3, grade 4, you're probably looking at about 8 bars. Above that, 16 bars. And to be honest, if I was taking this test, I would just play until I'm told to shut up, because that way you're giving yourself the best opportunity of scoring the points. All right, so here we go. This is the stimulus. I'm going to now play a rhythm and a fill using it. I'm given 30 seconds to practice. I'm going to play quarter notes on the hi-hat, and I'm going to play something like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. So for grade 1, I think that would be a pretty good improvisation. Okay. Grade 2, we have another example here, and you can see in this example, just in beat 3 here, that we have an 8th note rest or a quaver rest and a quaver. So they're obviously going to start introducing some slight syncopations into the rhythms. So this rhythm, again, the examiner would play this, so I'm going to try and play it looking at the back of this board here, but it's going to go 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Again, I'm going to look at it and think, where would my backbeat be? What if I played it on 4? So this beat here and this beat here I'm going to play as a snare drum. And then I'm going to try and create some sort of rhythm using the bass drums on the other bars. And then similar type of thing with the fill. So I might go snare, high, mid, low, snare, snare, high, mid, mid, crash. Okay, so let's see what I can come up with. I'm going to play some 8th notes on the hi-hat. I'm given 30 seconds to do it anyway. So, alright, so I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So for grade 2, that might be a good example of an improvisation. As I say, I don't use this test with my students, so I'm playing something I'm not that familiar with, if I'm honest. Right, so next step. Here's grade 3. Okay, so you can see in this example from grade 3, again, it's in 4/4. You might get something in 3/4, so just be aware that might be 2/4. If it's in 2/4 or 6/8, maybe, possibly, you'd probably be expected to play at least 16 bars rather than just 8 bars. But again, just play until you're asked to stop, I would. And then this rhythm, it's got a tied note at the end of the 4th beat here. So this one's going 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 2 and 3, 4. So for starters, you've got to be pretty good at your reading to understand rests and ties and all those sort of things. So make sure you've been through some reading if you're going to take this test. And then they will play it, so it will go 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So I'm going to place the backbeat on 2 and 4, so that's going to be my snare drum. So I might come up with something like this. I'll play some 16ths. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. So I guess the higher you're going up the grades, you're going to want to be adding a little bit more techniques. I added a flam in the fill there, and I added a choked cymbal. Just stuff that allows them to see you're developing as a player. Okay. One more, grade 4. I've noticed that in the examples there's 3/4, there's 6/8, so you're going to have to be aware of those. But again, this is a 2-bar stimulus. It's in 4/4. We've got some dotted 8th notes and some 16th notes in this pattern here. So this one goes 1, 2, a 3 and 4, 1 and 2, a 3 and 4 and. Again, the examiner would play it twice. You then have to play it on the snare. So this time I'm going to play this one on the snare to demonstrate I know what I'm doing. And so I'd go 1, 2, a 3 and 4, 1 and 2, a 3 and 4. Job done. Now I've got to create something with it. Obviously, the higher you're going up the grade, the more the expectation is that you've done some styles. So this is perfect for funk music, for example. Rock would also work well. So I'm going to try, the higher I go up the grades, to try and think, what would they want me to hear? They're not going to want a straight 8th rhythm every time. It's very one-sided, that. I've got to demonstrate lots of different styles. So I'm going to do this one as a funk. I'm going to play the snare on 2 and 4, and I'm going to try and improvise for a little bit longer. 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Something like that. Obviously I could go on further, but I've got a student waiting outside, so I'm now going to finish. I hope you enjoy that. I hope it's useful. If you've got any questions for me, then obviously email me at dave@davodrums.uk, and I hope it's been useful for you. Bye.